What's going on, DGen Nation? Back with another video. About to hop into a Best Ball Mania 4 draft. This is going to be my 96th draft of the offseason. So I am closing in on my final 20 or so drafts of the offseason. The drafts have been a little fewer and farther between lately. I did a lot early on. This is before I started recording my drafts. So probably why there hasn't been as many recently. But now that I got this set up and I'm getting more comfortable with the streams, next year for sure, I'm going to try and stream every single one of my drafts if possible. So I'm picking out of the 6th spot today. And pretty typical start with Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey, Kupp. I was reviewing my teams, the 95 that I have in the book so far. And I have at least one game stack for every week 17 game. So I'm not as focused on week 17. If it falls to me, that's fine. I'm happy to take it, but I'm not going out of my way here to get these week 17 stacks. Getting Tyreek Hill right here at 6 is really nice. I'm pretty low exposed to Tyreek Hill just because of where he goes. Haven't had a ton of 4 or 5 picks so far. And that's the range that he's been in for the past, I want to say, month and a half at least. I think that he might have dipped a tiny bit with that news about the arrest, but he hasn't fallen to me where I would like to take him in that 4, 5, 6 range. He's usually either gone, either goes, right at 4, or I could debate sometimes, if it's him and McCaffrey there, do I take him? Do I take McCaffrey? So not a ton of Tyreek Hill, so nice to get him there at 6. I will say, as far as the Miami and Baltimore stacks, I was a little late to the party on that. Like I just said about Hill, I wasn't getting him a ton. I wasn't always taking Waddle in the 2nd round either over guys like Devontae Adams or CeeDee Lamb. Any of those guys that have been falling. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I was kind of leaning towards those guys, so I wasn't getting a ton of Waddle in the 2nd either. And that has limited my exposure to that Miami-Baltimore game, which I do think could be an explosive game, especially if Tua is able to stay healthy for the full season. I think that could be a really nice Week 17 matchup. High scoring, ton of fantasy options. So since it's become harder to get the combination of Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson, I don't have a ton of Miami, like the full Miami Baltimore stack where you could get like early in draft season, you could get Tyreek and Waddle on the same team. And it was easier to get Lamar Jackson and Andrews. So in Best Ball Mania, I don't have a team where I have all 4 of those guys. So I would actually be thrilled right here if Jalen Waddle slipped to me. I don't think he will, but we'll see. I'm on deck. It's usually the spot where he goes. And he does, of course. So with Tyreek, I'm probably looking to go Lamar. So what makes sense here? I like Devonta. I like that combination. I think those are starting off 2 elite wide receivers. Couple picks before ADP doesn't bother me as far as Devonta Smith goes. I think he's in an excellent tier. Put up over 200 points last year, so he wasn't going to swing back to me. Fine taking him there. It's between him and Jonathan Taylor. I feel like I have a pretty good exposure to Jonathan Taylor so far, definitely over 10%. Have him paired a lot with Anthony Richardson on all my Richardson teams. So not all, but most. So okay, mixing it up there and going with the receiver. And what's Lamar's ADP at these days? 34. So it stayed roughly the same for the past month or so. I think it was closer to the late 30s at the beginning of Best Ball Mania 4. But it's you're not going to get Lamar and Mark Andrews unless you're going back to back there. Like the team that picked out of the one spot, if they wanted Lamar, they'd probably have to take him there where they took Derrick Henry. So you kind of have to weigh that in your mind. Is that really worth it? You're only going to get them together in a room that really where one of them or both of them really slip. So I'm going to still try and build out a little bit of a Miami, Baltimore week 17 matchup, but you're looking at those Baltimore receivers who go a little bit later. You're looking at J.K. Dobbins, Tua. So it'd be much nicer if you could get Mark Andrews, especially not getting Waddle too. Like if Waddle had fell to me there, I'd feel so much better about it. But and also, you're talking about taking Lamar here over Josh Allen. So I don't know how good that feels, to be completely honest. I'm just gonna do it just to get different. We all know Lamar's upside. I mean, that's 5. I took him 5 picks ahead of ADP. Most people would tell you that's crazy. I mean, head to head, him versus Josh Allen, like 99% of people are going to take Josh Allen, and I would too. But I want to get different here. I want to make sure I get the pieces that I need to make this stack happen to make it viable. I don't have a team with Tua and Lamar. And this is funny because at the beginning I said I'm not going to go crazy for week 17 stacks, but like Lamar is not going to make it to the 40s, and I don't think he's a bad pick there in the third. I really like Baltimore for this upcoming season. So to me, in a vacuum, do I like Josh Allen better? Of course, but I want to get more exposure to that Miami-Baltimore game. I don't have many Tyreek Hill selections. So if I'm going to build out the Miami-Baltimore stack, I want to do it on a team with Tyreek. I think the other ones I've done, I either got, some of the later Baltimore pieces, or I got Andrews and Waddle, but I haven't gotten one built out with Tyreek. So that's the direction I'm heading. I usually don't like to already have my stacks built in, like already focused on a stack in the first 3 rounds. I kind of let it fall to me and build it from there. But if it makes sense, it makes sense. And I think it will make sense here. And this still will be a nice team. So I went Devonta Smith at 19. Jalen Waddle went right before at 18, which sucks. But after him, Patrick Mahomes at 20. Tony Pollard, 21. Jonathan Taylor, 22. T. Higgins, 23. And then the team at the turn went Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, 24, 25. After Andrews, DK Metcalf, 26. Ramondre, 27. Jalen Hurts, 28. Calvin Ridley, 29. I went Lamar at 30. And then right after Lamar at 31 went Josh Allen, who was definitely a steal. I like the way that team started out of the 7 spot. They went Eckler, Waddle, Josh Allen, 3, really nice pieces at 3 different positions. Jacobs, Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel, Breece Hall. Team at the turn went Najee Harris, Christian Kirk at 37. My goodness. That's a shocker right there. Christian Kirk, 37th overall to the team at the turn. Maybe they really want Trevor Lawrence late. He has a tendency to fall in certain draft rooms. So maybe that's the route they're going. Keenan Allen, 38, Christian Watson, Terry McLaurin, Jerry Jeudy. And now I'm on deck with the 43rd overall pick. Was just looking at Jahmyr Gibbs' name, and he goes. So no Gibbs for me. Don't love the running backs in this range. Most likely going to go receiver. I'll snag DJ Moore. I've been hearing really good things out of camp. Between him and Drake London, for me, I have a lot of Drake London. have a decent amount of DJ Moore, but this is a weird 3 out of my last 4 picks have been slight ADP reaches, which is not typical for me. I'm either drafting at ADP or taking some value after ADP. So a little bit of a different build for me right now, which is fine. Like I don't mind doing that sometimes. You're not handcuffed to ADP. What you don't want to do is do what this team here did. You don't want to take Christian Kirk at 37. Let's see what his ADP is, because it might have climbed up. And I don't dislike Christian Kirk as a player. I think he's, I mean, last year as a whatever he was, 10th round pick, he was a smash. What's his ADP now? Yeah, so I mean, his ADP is 50. He went at 37. Would he have made it back to that team at 60? No, most likely not. But I think you're taking a significant reach early in the draft on a player who's essentially your wide receiver 2. I don't know if he gives you wide receiver 2 numbers again with the addition of Ridley. So don't really love that pick. It's, too much of a reach for me. I don't mind taking reaches in the middle rounds or, slight ADP reaches, 3-4 picks when someone's not going to swing back to you. But, to each their own. A lot of people don't live and die by ADP. So I think since I have the 3 receivers here, it's not my typical strategy, but I might go with Justin Fields to pair him with DJ Moore. It could also go Kenneth Walker, who I'm very light on. And I think there is a tier break there with Walker, but I'm going to try and snag Dobbins on the way back around here. Fields 5 picks after ADP. As a 5th round pick, I feel like Fields is a smash. And pairing him with Lamar, you get 2 of the better rushing quarterbacks. So you could technically take both of them unstacked if you really wanted to. Yeah, see, Dobbins' ADP is 61. So the likelihood of him coming back at 67 isn't great, but definitely possible. Definitely possible. So I went DJ Moore at 43. After DJ Moore, Joe Mixon, 44. DeAndre Hopkins, 45. ETN, 46. Joe Burrow, 47. Team at the turn pairs Mike Williams with Justin Herbert, 48 and 49. After Herbert, Drake London at 50. Then Brandon Ayuk, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. At 54, I went Justin Fields. And then after Fields, we see JSN, Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin. So a run of receivers here in this round. 4 straight receivers just taken after I went Fields. I could still take Tua. I know 3 quarterback gets a bad name, especially in terms of the data. I guess it's not one of the most efficient strategies in terms of data, according to the analysts. So I don't necessarily need Tua, but if he's there, his ADP is 91. My 8th round pick is 91 overall. So if it lines up there and he's sitting there and I'm able to get a nice, running back pairing in the next 2 rounds, or a running back tight end, something that fills out my roster in a way where I feel okay taking a 3rd quarterback and maybe just going 2 tight ends. The problem is that I don't have a tight end yet. So I don't really have an elite tight end that I feel I could, anchor myself to as of right now. So that could change here momentarily. Dobbins is there, but he's up the top of the board. A lot of people will shy away from Dobbins if they don't have Lamar. So if he makes it back here, he's the pick. If he doesn't make it back, I might consider Pitts or Goddard, or one of these three receivers and just continue to build out a zero RB. So he does go there. Not the end of the world, but Pitts also does give me correlation for week 17. So yeah, I'll go Pitts. I was thinking about Hollywood Brown because I've been wanting to get more Kyler, but obviously with two quarterbacks, I mean, he would have been fine. He would have been a great fourth receiver, a little past the ADP, but I think Pitts gives the team more balance there, and this is definitely a zero RB team, which I'm cool with. Got my three receivers. I like all of them a lot. Two elite quarterbacks, and fingers crossed, Pitts can put himself back in that elite tight end conversation again because I have a shit ton of Kyle Pitts. I have probably 17, 18%. So making a big bet on Pitts. I just noticed too. I don't know why I just noticed, but Lamar and Fields both got the week 13 bye. So Tua might be more viable here than I had previously anticipated. I think it's pretty much a no-brainer here to go running back. This is to me, this is such a beautiful range for running backs. Like if you're gonna go zero RB and take one of these guys as your first running back, I think it's phenomenal value here. Akers, Montgomery, Swift, James Conner, Rashad White, Javonte, Pacheco, Kamara, if he gets a short suspension, Dalvin Cook. I mean, you're talking about any of these guys could really be RB1s. And it would not shock me. So I love taking my first running back here in this range. I want to take a quick peek to see if any news came out about Akers because he is way past ADP right here. So I'm just wondering if something happened to him. Nope, not that I can see. So I'll snag him here as my RB1. And then I'll make the tough decision on the next go around. Do I take Tua and just bite the bullet on the three quarterbacks? I feel good going to tight ends with Pitts. So I could go with Tua and then just tell myself, lock it in that you're only taking two tight ends, and I could still have a nicely balanced roster. But we'll see. I have a feeling Tua is going to go. He's pretty high on he's the first quarterback available. So, and I have a feeling that the Waddle team is picking before me. Yeah, obviously I shouldn't have known that. They took Waddle right before me, so in the second round. So they do have Josh Allen. So maybe maybe they're not looking quarterback. Maybe they go with like a Mac Jones, kind of a late Mac Jones, Patriots, Bills, week 17 build. So maybe they're not looking quarterback. So we'll see. If he does go, I think I have enough pieces I can grab a Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Bateman, continue to build out the Baltimore side of things. I can grab some of the later Dolphins running backs like an A-Chain or Mostert, Wilson, and just continue to grab a few of those ancillary pieces and still build out that stack. I would love to just get the full, like Tyreek, Waddle, and then Lamar. Obviously, you're not going to get Lamar and Andrews, but like three of those four, if I could get a combination of them, I really would be excited. I think I might have some teams like that in the big board because Lamar was available ridiculously late, and so was Andrews for a period of time. So Tua is still there. Really depends. I mean, I guess Zay Flowers is past ADP. I think he would make a lot of sense, but that the 2 week 13 buys is what really throws me. So I'll take two of there, and no matter what, I'm probably going to go running back or receiver on my next wrap around. I think Dalvin Cook, he really could be the steal of the draft here in the 8th round, 93 overall. I said it in a previous video, but if he's on a roster right now, there's no chance he's going in the 8th. Even if he was on the worst team in football, even if he was in a committee, on the Jets with sharing time with Brees Hall, or regardless of what team he was on, I think he would be more of a 6th, 7th round pick, maybe creeping up into the 5th, as opposed to an 8th, end of the 8th round pick. In some drafts falling to the 9th. So both of my Baltimore targets went right there, and I'm not reaching up for Odell. Did Odell go too? No, I don't know why I didn't see him there for some reason, but there he is, 4th on the list as far as running back ADP goes. So Michael Thomas goes there. I'm really thin at running back right now, and I do like AJ Dillon. I actually think there's a little tier break there with Dillon. 160 points each of the last 2 seasons. I don't see someone with bigger upside. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go Dillon just because of how thin this team is. I love Jamison Williams, and he's been pushed down significantly, obviously, because of the suspension, but second half upside in a best ball tournament, I don't think many people give you more upside in this range than Jamison Williams. So AJ Dillon was just the safer floor guy for an RB2, and I think you're going to need that. You may not think you'll need that in a best ball tournament, but going to somebody like A-Chain as my RB2, let's say, even if he does make it back around to me, say when Jamison Williams there, you're talking about A-Chain or Khalil Herbert in a committee, Jerick McKinnon, 33 years old, Jamal Williams approaching 30 if he's not 30 already, Jalen Warren. These are part-time guys, Elijah Mitchell backing up McCaffrey. So AJ Dillon is in a timeshare, but it's way more of a 50-50 and high volume than a lot of the guys that are going next to him there. And he's proven already that he has a floor, and his floor is about 160 points. That puts him in that late RB2 conversation. So anything happens to Aaron Jones, he's going to be one of the best backs in football. And I honestly think Odell should make it here to me. I don't hate him as my wide receiver 4. I think he might have some chemistry, especially early in the season with Lamar, kind of force feeding him the ball until Zay Flowers gets going. So for those who are down on Odell, and you have every reason to be, it makes a ton of sense why you would be. I tend to just go by what I saw last. I know he's a smart football player, and he played well in the second half of the Rams. He was a factor in the Super Bowl, biggest game of the season against a very good defense. So I think he still has some juice. I think he's being underrated a little bit. I don't love him, but if my next pick here is 115 overall, if I can get him a little past ADP, I'm I'm cool with that. So see if he lasts here. These next four picks. Just a little rundown. You can see there and then Beckham goes, of course. So I really don't have any of the Baltimore passing game. I didn't get Dobbins, so this stack is a bust. I think I have enough. You get Lamar, you got Tyreek, like those guys could go off and without any of the other pieces, really. But I got the two quarterbacks and Tyreek pretty much. What makes sense here? Yeah, I think definitely A-Chain. I'm gonna have to hammer running backs here, obviously. So 3 quarterbacks through your first 10 picks is not ideal. And that's why this team is not my favorite. I think maybe the Justin Fields pick was a mistake, even though he was past the ADP. I should have maybe just let it go there and just waited for Tua. And let's see who I could have got maybe in that round as opposed to Fields. I could have taken like a Kenneth Walker and my running back room would have been a little stronger, or taken a fourth receiver, and that's all right. Definitely a unique team for me as far as the build goes. And I think I have, a couple decent pieces. Obviously, Tyreek is a stud, but A-Chain and Tua played really well. That's 3 pieces of the Miami offense. I could always grab like an Isaiah Likely as my second tight end, and like it's maybe like a Nelson Aguilar or something as a late round flyer to add with Lamar. Just get another one of their wide receivers. They have somebody else who I'm forgetting about as well. Yeah, Duvernay. Kind of a guy who never really emerges, but will have a spike week here and there. So somebody like that, especially a Bateman who's having some problems with the foot already. If he goes down, maybe Aguilar steps into a more prominent role and change the scenery away from New England. Maybe it does him some good. So something like that. I actually feel pretty good about this team so far. Definitely 3 elite receivers. Pitts with the possibility to be an elite tight end, and then obviously the quarterback room is stacked. So what makes the most sense here? A fourth receiver makes a lot of sense. I could go Mooney to pair with Fields. I also like Damian Harris a lot. I have a ton of Damian Harris here, so I'll go Mooney. Guy who's already put up 1,000-yard season in 16 games, so don't mind him as my wide receiver 4. A lot of week 13 buys though, starting to build up, so I'll balance that out as the draft goes on. Now I'm at a 3-3-4-1. Then at running back, so what makes the most sense here? I heard Kendre Miller just made his way back past the physical. I actually like him a lot. But with this build with Fields, I think I continue to get some of his weapons. Roshan, supposedly a very good pass catcher. Has a couple guys in front of him at the moment, but you know how it is with rookie running backs. They emerge late in the season. One of those guys goes down, and all of a sudden your rookie back is now a veteran in the second half of the season, and he's getting a ton of work, handling the third down work probably as well. Him and Khalil Herbert battling that out. So if they feel like Roshan gives them a better chance to win, he's a better player than Khalil Herbert, I think you will see Roshan in there for the second half. I mean, he's playing behind Bijan Robinson, so obviously there's a reason why he didn't get that much burn in college, but he still got, I think it was like a 70-30 split, and he got a lot of the third down work, pass protection, things like that, things that NFL teams love. So I think even right away, he'll have a role. So I went Mooney 126, Roshan Johnson 139. My next pick here coming up at 150. Just read off my team real quick. So quarterback, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa. Running back, Cam Akers, AJ Dillon, David Achane, Roshan Johnson. Pretty weak there. Not my favorite running back core by a long shot. Receiver, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Donnell Mooney. Tight end, Kyle Pitts. So everywhere else, I feel good besides the running back position. Um, Alec Pierce. I'm probably going to have 25% Alec Pierce, and I don't care. I heard some more great camp reports today. I heard he was throwing some dots. Anthony Richardson was throwing some dots to Alec Pierce. He's a big body down the field receiver, but he can also be a possession guy too. I think he has all the tools. And some people forget the draft capital that he got in a very good wide receiver class. He performed well with bad quarterbacks. So I think he really takes a step forward this year. I love him as a wide receiver 5. And he helps break up that wide receiver room in terms of bye weeks, 2 week 10s, 2 week 13s. He's week 11. So helps break that up a little bit too. If there's injuries or whatever else. 9 picks away. I'm hoping Komet will make it back to me. I did see him right there after I had picked Pierce. I think I still would have taken Pierce in a vacuum, but just so many tight ends you can get late who I think are similar to Komet. I do like his upside and I do like his connection with Justin Fields, but I think Alec Pierce as my wide receiver 5. I'd rather have him as my wide receiver 5 than have Komet as my tight end 2, if that makes sense in that scenario. I mean, you got like guys like Hunter Henry, Trey McBride, Conklin, a lot of these guys who are starting caliber tight ends who are getting picked in the last round are not getting picked at all. I know for sure in Hunter Henry's case, I see him go undrafted all the time. So I think whereas that's my point is that a tight end 1 can be found in the last round, but you can't find an Alec Pierce in the last round. So that breaks the tie for me and kind of makes it a no-brainer. And a lot of people, if they looked at this team, they might tell me it's fine as far as week 17. Like I have pretty much an unstacked, not pretty much, I have an unstacked Lamar Jackson, and then I have a few pieces of the Miami game. But some people might look at that and say, that's fine. Maybe you would want at least one of the Ravens pass catchers, but in terms of somebody who you can take unstacked, Lamar Jackson's definitely in that conversation. So I don't think it's as bad as I maybe think it is. 3 QB is pretty rare for me. But yeah, if Komet makes it here, I'll take him. Beautiful. That's why I did that, and it completely paid off. I get him here now, 13 picks past ADP. Feel great about my tight ends. Like my receivers a lot. Love the quarterbacks, running backs. I'm probably going to go 7 running backs on this team. And just running back by committee who can step up week to week. Let me go back to the board just so you can see these last few rounds here. I really like those last few rounds to build out a strong Chicago stack, which is a pivot from my original plan. That's why you can't really get locked into anything because you're going to get sniped, the vast majority of the time. You're going to get sniped. You're going to get, it's not, the board's not going to follow you all the time the way you want it to. So, be smart, use your head, be able to pivot. Like I said, I got some of the Miami, Baltimore week 17, but I also built in another stack. I built in Chicago and Atlanta week 17 with Pitts. And then all the Chicago pieces I have. So I'm gonna go Jerome Ford. I don't have any Jerome Ford, hardly a couple shares. It's a complete dart throw for me. I don't really know how much of a role he has. We saw Kareem Hunt be successful in that RB2 role in Cleveland, and then last year do next to nothing. And I think it trends more towards a next to nothing because of Deshaun Watson there. They have a high powered passing game now. They got a pretty good tight end. They got one really good receiver, two good receivers. DPJ definitely emerged last year. Elijah Moore showing some flashes. So I think they're much more of a passing team than they have been previously. And I think that may affect their RB2. I don't know a ton about Jerome Ford's pass catching chops or anything like that. Obviously, Nick Chubb is not a guy who typically plays on third down, so he might get a shot at that, but I could also see it being a committee. So Jerome Ford, not really somebody who's been on my radar much. But for this team, I'm fine taking a flyer, hoping for the best. Is Gus Edwards still there? That's somebody I probably would have been a better pick, honestly. Let's hope he makes it to me. His ADP is 86.6, and my next pick is 187. So sounds like a match made in heaven. So my last 5 picks, I went Darnell Mooney, 126, Roshan Johnson, 139, Alec Pierce, 150, Cole Kmet, 163, Jerome Ford, 174. And I believe Gus the Bus made it to me. That's nice. I think he actually has a bigger role than some are anticipating. Definitely a goal line type of guy. The Ravens like to use a bunch of different backs. See if that changes this year with a new OC, but I don't see it changing much with the way they run the ball. So some tie in there with Lamar and a continuation on that week 17 Miami Baltimore game. I only have 5 receivers, so I'm probably gonna have to go. I could go 2 more. I could just go 1 more. And do a 3-7-6-2, which is not my favorite. I don't like leaving myself short at wide receiver, really. Especially if you look at it, you're talking about week 10, Tyreek and Devonta both are going to be on the bench. So I think it makes more sense here to go with the 2 more receivers. This running back group right here isn't the sexiest group of guys on paper, but I think Akers and Dillon are pretty solid. And then you have a couple rookies who I think give you upside late in the season. So I'm actually okay if I just stayed here at the 6. To see what makes sense. I'm not going to take just a bum receiver just to take, just so I have 7. If there's a running back I like more, I'm okay taking the running back, but I've taken a lot of Claypool on my Justin Fields teams. I'm just not going to do it here. I'm not I have enough Claypool where if he does well, I'm going to be feeling good about it. But if he sucks and he's just a dead roster spot, then I don't want to have like 20% of him. So Robert Woods is a veteran guy. I don't think I have enough of. And even though he's a bit older, I think he was, last year playing coming off an injury in a bad Tennessee passing offense. So I think that did affect him. So see if he can maybe get back to form a little bit. I'll grab him here. Gives me a different bye week there at receiver as well. So I have some options week 10 when my two top receivers are on bye. Maybe one of those guys can spike in. And maybe I go with one of these rookies here, upside rookies. Michael Wilson, Tank Dell, Josh Downs. Maybe if Claypool's there in the last round, maybe I consider him there, or just take my favorite running back of the group here. I do think Chase Brown's a really nice value in the last round. Pierre Strong, I love in the last round. So Zach Evans would be a decent option to back up Cam Akers. That's why I really enjoyed the 20 round drafts, the big board. I think it takes less skill to draft in the big board, but you never really felt shut out at any positions. You were able to grab like 4 tight ends. You were able to grab 4 quarterbacks in some scenarios. You could get 10 receivers. You could get 7 running backs, and you're able to just have a much more balanced roster. And you never really felt like you were shut out at a position. Like certain times I go 2 tight ends and I'm like, if they're not great tight ends, if they're not one of those, if one of them is not one of those elite guys, then you're just kind of going with 2 mediocre tight ends. You're just putting yourself at such a disadvantage, where I feel like in the big board, if you could grab, if you're going like 0 tight end, let's say, I know it's not obviously a term that's used, but like a 0 tight end, and just take 4 in the last 4 rounds. It's just throwing 4 guys in there who have a chance to score a touchdown every single week. And that's a viable strategy, in my opinion, for a tournament like that. Whereas you can't really do that in BestBall Mania, but that's why it is the sharpest draft. As the best drafters, it's by far the sharpest. So this is any recent news on Tank Dell, but I'm definitely leaning Tank Dell. I was looking at Hyatt there too. I'd taken a lot of Hyatt early on, but he did also have a week 13 bye, so made a little bit less sense for me. A couple of those Houston pieces, maybe one of them emerges. And Stroud looks to be an upgrade over Davis Mills, without a doubt. So just take a look at the board here, see how it finishes out. This last round is always kind of interesting. And Claypool did get taken there on the back-to-back, so he wouldn't have been an option for me. Actually happy with that. Didn't want to have to make that choice to have to take him. So last 5 picks, Cole Kmet, 163. Jerome Ford, 174. Gus Edwards, 187. Robert Woods, 198. And Tank Dell, 211. So I ended up with a 3-6-7-2, which is actually a very traditional build. Pretty much either going to go 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends. I rarely go 3 quarterbacks, so a little bit different for me. I'm usually more of a 2-6-7-3 or a 2-6-8-2, something like that. Have a lot of 4 running back teams this year as well. If I just go real heavy at running back early, which I don't mind doing either, and then kind of just hammering home receivers late. But I'll give one last rundown of the team. Quarterback Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Tua. Running back Cam Akers, AJ Dillon, Devin Achane, Roshan Johnson, Jerome Ford, Gus Edwards. So that's clearly the weak spot of the team. zero RB build. Didn't take my first running back until pick 78 with Akers. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Alec Pierce, Robert Woods, and Tank Dell. Like that receiving core a lot. Tight ends, Kyle Pitts, right at ADP. And then I got Komet, 13 picks past ADP, which I love. Feel like he's a really good second tight end. And taking Pitts there allowed me to stay with the 2 tight ends. So I do like the Pitts pick as opposed to the 4th receiver there. Interesting team. Not my favorite. See how it plays out, but decent. I don't know if it has if it's a tournament winning team, we'll see. Obviously, only time will tell, but I like it. So it's gonna wrap up today's video. I didn't mention it at the top, but if you're gonna sign up for Underdog, use my promo code LarryBird617. It'll give you a deposit match up to $100. So you put in 100, you'll get another 100 in your account. You'll have 200 to play with. If you guys like the video, please subscribe, leave me a comment. Any feedback is appreciated. Let me know what you think. I'll respond to any and all comments. And I'm going to try and get more consistent with posting. I know I took a little hiatus there for a bit, so I'm going to try and get some more videos banged out this week. And each of my next 15 drafts, I'm going to try and get up on the page. So appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon. DJ Nation out.